Okay, we're back, and if I run this update scene that I was talking about in the previous video, you'll see that all it is just the camera is circling around two objects, a cube with a texture, a cube with a material, and there's also this this plane now underneath, and I'll show you what's going on there, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do with it. Okay, so we'll clear out that, and if you look now in the update scene, what we have is the important thing for the moment I want to see is this CC3 node, which is a camera boom, and all it is just a kind of a dummy node that we are going to attach to the scene. And you'll see when we initialize the scene, it's just a backdrop. The camera is initialized, but I don't add it directly to the scene. What I do is I have this camera boom, which is a C3 node camera boom. At the moment, it's just added. The camera is added to the camera boom, and that will go in at its position, which is 0, 4, 18, and then I add the camera boom to the layer, or to the scene, sorry. And because I haven't specified a location, I have it blocked out there, it'll go in at the center point. The lamp is in the usual spot. The resource node is just bringing in the boxes as it did in the previous texture scene video. And I've added this CC3 plane node, which is the ground, just for perspective. It's a populate as a rectangle of its size. To see the size is 15 by 15. The relative origin here, what they're looking for here is kind of like an anchor point. So I just wanted it right in the middle, so it's 0.5, 0.5. Then we have diffuse color. I've made it green. The location is in the middle but slightly below, just to get below the boxes, and I've had to rotate it around the x-axis just to make it flat, and then it's added to the ground. And nothing much happens then. When we open up the scene, I just have the active camera is targeting the location, which is the origin. And so with a boom running around the origin and a camera targeting the origin, you get the result you'd expect, which is just that the camera will keep pointing straight into the origin as the boom goes around. Okay, but what if you were to change the position of the boom? Let's say I'll uncomment this, and the camera boom location is now gone to 10, 10, 10. And if you were to run it now, you would see that the camera no longer is going to track. It's pointed at the center originally, but as the boom moves around, it's losing its focus. It's pointing at the center. That's where the boom is, probably there somewhere, but the camera is not pointing to the origin anymore. Okay, so how do we correct this? There's two ways of doing it. There's the easy way and the hard way, and I'm going to show the hard way first, just because I want to show you what the whole update before transform method is all about. And the way to do it is simply take this line, which is the self-active camera target location. I'll just copy it and put it into the update before transform, paste it, and run it. And will it work this time? It should update now after every frame, but it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because in the last video, when I was over here in the main layer, I deliberately commented out this self schedule update, and this is the point of this video. This is what this is about. When you uncomment this, what you're doing is you're saying that in the scene you want to schedule updates every frame, and if there's any extra updates that are being added to the scene, they go in this position here, which is the update before transform or update after transform methods. The one you're more likely to use is this one, the update before transform. So I'm to run the scene now, the update scene. We should see that even though the boom is now positioned off the central position, the camera is still tracking towards the origin, and you'll see as it's been brought around by the boom, it's actually making sure that it keeps pointing down towards the objects, down towards the origin, and then coming back out again. Pretty damn cool. Okay, so now if you were in that situation and you wanted to have control. You wanted to say sometimes I wanted to point towards it and sometimes I don't want it to point towards it. This is where this control button I was talking about in the previous video comes in. And what it is in the main layer I have this option of a control button, which is just a CC menu, and it's stuck in at the end there, the control button. And what it is, it just has this label, control button. Its selector is control button action. I've made it blue. It's just a menu, and it's set its position, and it's initially added with visibility no. And the action that it controls when it's selected is to run this action called on the target, which is the scene that is attached to this layer, and it runs a selector called control button action. Okay, so the scene that it runs will have to have that control button action method. When I add the scenes, any scene that I want to have this control button action, I will uncomment this part here. We're in the update scene here. So when the update scene is selected, we now add this control button and we make it visible. Okay, so then when we're in, if I look at the update scene itself, we see that we actually have this method, this control button action. We also have a controlling boolean called activate targeting. And when I now go into the scene, I'm going to take this guy here and copy him and put him in there and paste. Okay, so now when we run the update transform, it's going to check to see if we've activated targeting, and then it'll run this point camera method. And the point camera method is just to set the target location back to the origin. And then down here is this control button action, and all it does is toggle between whether it's targeting or not. So if it's targeting, it sets it to no. If it isn't targeting, it sets it to yes. Okay, so that's it. So if I run it now, we should see that we have the update scene. We now have a control button available to us, and when we click it, it immediately jumps back to targeting the center. And you can see it's following, and then when I click it again, it stops targeting the origin again. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Targeting and not targeting. Okay, so there you go. And the last thing, I would just for completion, I better tell you the easy way of doing this. The easy way of doing it is that we actually have a little boolean that we can set on the active camera. I have it commented out here. I'll copy it. And when we open the scene here on open, we would set that to yes. So we have the targeted origin, and the active camera should track the target is yes. And if I go up here now in the update transform and take this bit out again, you should see that whether we point or not, or whether we control it or not, that it will indeed track. Only if I press the button, it's going to make no difference because we've set that controlling variable on the active camera. Okay. And finally, if we were to use the control button directly to control that, what we would do is take this guy again, copy, and I'll put the yes in there, and I'll put the no in there, and I think that's the right way around. If it's not, you know what I mean anyway. And I'll run it again. So now on the control initially, it should be initialized to track it, and when I press it, nothing, and I press it again, there it goes. So it's just a case of getting the order right between the two of those, and the control button is on again. Okay. The interesting thing about that is that that should track target boolean. That does require that this main layer schedule update is activated, because it actually uses that in the background. Okay, so there's loads of stuff there. I'll leave it at that for the moment, and next time we'll be getting into lights, I think. Good luck now.